Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is the real NFC Player of the Week. Kyle, how's it going?
Who won NFC Player of the Week? I didn't even see.
Oh, you missed the whole thing. JJ McCarthy wins NFC Player of the Week.
Yeah, that seems a little extreme. Offensive Player of the Week, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little much.
A little bit. A little bit. I don't know. Like Jalen Hurts could have been a good pick, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's a few more candidates I'd have up there.
Possibly. I think like anyone who wasn't like probably an active negative, if you count like all 60 minutes to the team, was probably be a good choice there.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I think I'd go a few offensive linemen even over JJ McCarthy, but
possibly. Hey, let's get into it. Let's talk about, as always on these Wednesday shows, we'll cover the Monday game or Monday games if there's multiple of them before we get into previewing week 2. This was a game that started off and, the Bears fans had to be over the moon. I mean, Ben Johnson has figured out Caleb Williams. He looked fantastic on this opening drive and, even was doing some nice things later on in the first half. He cooled off, but the Bears defense was shutting J.J. McCarthy down. There's the pick 6, and all of a sudden, things just change. And there was a sequence when the refs will have to be brought up at some point in this discussion. There was, a bad holding call, made it for a tougher field goal, still a 50-yarder that the Bears would ultimately miss. After they missed the field goal, the Vikings march down the field, score a touchdown, get a stop, march down the field, score another touchdown. They end up getting a third touchdown in that fourth quarter. 6 points in the first 3 quarters, 21 in the fourth. There was some questionable Ben Johnson decision-making in this one, Kyle, with the first challenging a play that it's a rule I hadn't heard of, but apparently if you fumble while you're down and someone forces the fumble, that it means that the ball play is dead at that point. So essentially challenging that made zero sense. Now, it's possible Ben Johnson didn't know about that rule either. I didn't. But challenges that, which was a waste of a challenge. Also not kicking the ball out of bounds, instead kicking it deep, which allowed it to be returned, cost them the 2-minute warning. They had maybe a chance to get back into it, couldn't do it. So, yeah, crazy first Monday Night Football game.
Very crazy game indeed. It does definitely feel like, and we'll get into all of their individual stuff. It definitely feels like people are ready to dance on the Bears' grave. And maybe it was just because their fans were so excited from this offseason. I think people were calling them offseason winners in a lot of circles, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And, to have that kind of flame out, I think people were very, a lot of negative people online were very happy to celebrate those sort of things. And you know what? If you're a Bears hater, more power to you. It was a bad loss at the end of the day. I'm not ready to write off this whole situation because of 1 week, though, especially the first week for this staff and a lot of the new faces on this team. So it was just a weird game. Like you said, there were some mistakes, I think, on the Bears side, but ultimately, I think the Minnesota Vikings defense deserves a ton of credit for the way they played in the second half. Like you said, this, Brian Flores, they were got after early, but Brian Flores seems to have Ben Johnson's number in a lot of these games head to head. I thought they did really well in the second half. They gave their team a chance, and then J.J. McCarthy kind of settled in this game after looking a little rattled early and then made some big throws late that got him the win. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the one thing I'll say about this game is this is the perfect example of why you can't react too much to week 1, right? Because, the takes after the third quarter were, did the Vikings make a mistake going off of Sam Darnold? And then, how good can Caleb Williams be? Do we take the Bears seriously as a playoff team? And now we're like, the Bears are horrible and the Vikings are great and they're the playoff team. Like, if it can happen in a game, it can happen in a season. Things are going to change.
Exactly. And, both of these quarterbacks are still so young. You want to see better things from both of them. And obviously, we're going to have to talk about the Caleb side of things. You want to see better, more consistent play for both of them, especially as both of these teams think they can make the playoffs this season. I just think that you're still asking a lot of 2 young quarterbacks to come in and be perfect almost immediately. And, for the large part, they both had stretches where I thought they played really well. They both had plenty of mistakes too. Don't get me wrong, but we're expecting the world of all of these guys on week 1, and both of these teams still have a lot of unknowns. And I thought it was a really competitive game, and they both played really well. I wouldn't be shocked if both of these teams made the playoffs, but it's still week 1. I'm not overreacting either way.
Yeah, well, again, you're a Drake May guy, so you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Marcus Jones in the chat says, "Are you guys planning on having memberships at some point?" I have no intention of doing it. I mean, I don't have any like. I make the content I make, and we do the podcast, and that's it. I have no added thing that if I have an idea for it, maybe I wouldn't rule it out. But yeah, no intention of doing that as of right now. Everything's free here, Kyle. We go live. No need to charge anyone for anything.
Yeah. I have no opinions on that either. Do whatever you want. I'm good with whatever.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, what a disappointment though for the Bears, right? I mean, this went from like this to me. This is the worst loss of the week. Maybe the Dolphins as well. Like the Ravens are going to be great. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs. They're going to this is like for a second in the first quarter, Bears fans are like, we might be like all the way a great team in a great organization, and then it just completely collapsed.
Absolutely. I mean, the pick 6 happens. They go up 17-6. They have the momentum at that point. But I think I have to go back to the second quarter, actually, because it's one thing I continue to say over and over again, and it feels like it costs NFL teams week after week after week. When you are dominating a game, you have to put the foot to the throat sort of thing, right? Like, you have to be ready to go for the kill at that point. And this was a game where the Bears didn't go for the kill because it felt like they should have been up 20 at halftime. Instead, they were up 10-6. Yeah. Right. And even though they had the further momentum after that pick 6, it still was an opportunity that should have been a 27-6 pick 6, not a 17-6 pick 6. And that felt like the difference in this game because they just couldn't really get anything going after that opening drive. They had really good stretch to start this game. They had another stretch where they went down the field and had an opportunity, didn't convert that 4th down. And then from there, it was just like, it just felt like they were hanging on and trying to figure things out from there. They had good drives in the first half that they just couldn't take advantage of and couldn't finish drives.
Yeah, it was a weird game. I think even Joe Buck in the broadcast said like it feels like they should be up 4 scores, but if they make this field goal, it'll still only be 2 scores, and then they missed the field goal. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that was really where the game was lost more so than anything at the end there. But yeah, I mean, again, rough first week for the Bears, but great first week for the Vikings. We can talk more about these teams as we move on. Any other thoughts on this game?
There's been a lot of Caleb vitriol after the first week. And I feel like as the Caleb guy, I do have to make a statement, I guess.
Okay, sure. Okay, official statement from a Caleb guy.
There were definitely mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And, you could pull up the all 22 footage and there's going to be better quarterback guys and film guys that are going to look at that stuff and say, like, this was missed, this was missed, this was missed, that kind of thing. And I get it. Like, there's still mistakes. But there's still some really awesome plays there and things that you get excited about. So, like, this was not a great game. This was not a perfect game by any means, although it started off insanely impressive. But, like, there's still enough things to get you excited about Caleb Williams, I think, for this game. There's still a lot to work on, though, and that's what he has to get better at for him to reach his still very high potential.
Yeah. I think it's again, the last time the Bears lost a crushing game like this, they went on prime time in week 1. They went 12-4 and made the playoffs. And things went great once they got there, too. Yeah,
exactly. Things have always gone well for the Bears in the playoffs, right?
I think so. There's that one year. 85.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the best branding a team has ever had, the 85 Bears?
I mean, it's got to be up there, right?
Yeah, because I feel like everyone knows, like, no one knows, like, what exact year was the Steel Curtain Steelers? Like
70s.
Yeah.
That's all you say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. The 90s Cowboys, like that. You know the decade. You don't know the exact year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other team like that. Exactly. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, Kyle. Ton to get into. Good first week for you. Only 1 point on your record. You missed 2 games, but you got your lock. I actually only missed 1 game, but I missed my lock. The Steelers, it was -2.5. They won by 2. So because of that, that's the difference right now. So Kyle, I will give you a game first, and let's not bury the lead. Let's go to the most exciting game of the week right off the bat. Patriots at Dolphins. Kyle, who do you have in this one?
Yeah, this one was first on my list. It is
Uh,
a doozy. I know everyone's going to be excited to tune in.
mhm.
Um, I am going to take the Patriots. I'm concerned about
Okay,
the
good. You
Dolphins.
should.
I want to take the Patriots in this game. I'm excited. And I have the right to be excited a little bit still.
Uh-huh.
Listen, it was only week one. There are still some good things to take away from the Patriots game, too. I'm not overreacting to that loss in the second half performance. That being said, I have major concerns about this Dolphins offensive line. It didn't look good. Tua didn't help make it look good, but they didn't look good individually, I think, too. Although I think I saw some stat that the tackles were actually okay. But I think one of the things we did see from the Patriots in week one to get excited about was they played a decent offensive line in the Raiders. And you saw their strategy this season has been, we're going to build our pass rushing numbers. We bring in Harold Landry, Calabion Chason. We have, Barmore. We have Milton Williams on the interior. We still have who else am I thinking of? Anthony Jennings is hurt, but there's a bunch of guys on that roster right now, and you could just kind of think that like there is an opportunity here for this Patriots pass rush that looked really good in week one to get after the Dolphins a little bit and cause some problems. They stopped the run really well. I think they can have similar success against Devin Achane. And then I think the big X factor for me is if Christian Gonzalez comes back, because Christian Gonzalez, while it was a little overplayed at a certain point, Tyreek Hill in his 3 matchups against Christian Gonzalez has 40, 48 yards, and 69 yards. He hasn't gone over 100 yards against Christian Gonzalez in those 3 matchups. He's handled them very well as an individual corner. So I do think there is an opportunity here for the Patriots defense to win this game. And let's just see if the offense can get a little more explosive against the defense that looks suspect as well in week one. So give me the Pats.
Yeah. First off, if it's week 2 and you're already picking your team to lose against the Dolphins after what they did in week 1, like just pack things up. Like it's over. Like you have to pick your team to win this one at the very least. Yeah. I mean, it's a gross game. I don't know exactly what to make of either of these teams. I didn't think I went back and watched Drake May this morning. Wasn't overly impressed. Just gonna say that it was not what you wanted to see out of him. Good chunk of missed throws in there, but again, can the Dolphins defense take advantage? The Dolphins defense that looked horrible last week. Like this is kind of a get right game for Drake May in many ways. The question is, did Tua just have an off game? I mean, this is going to sound like an insane thing, but if you watched the game last week, like Tua had 6 like horrible plays and then was good other than that. And like, that's a lot of horrible plays. Like that's too much horrible plays, but like he did have the positives that you usually see from him as well. Was last week an anomaly? If so, the Dolphins do have a chance here.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is the chance there, but I mean, they do have to show that they can get right in this game. And we'll see. I mean, if they lose this game, I mean, we're sticking a fork in the season, right? Just write them off.
Yeah, you got to dye your hair again.
Oh, if the Patriots beat the Dolphins, I don't think that's the same.
No,
as
the
beating
Patriots
the
lose to the Dolphins.
Oh no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's do Broncos at Colts.
Okay. Interesting. I had a few games ahead of this one, although it's still on the top third of my list. Yeah, I'm picking Denver. I get it. The Colts did have a really good first week. I still just feel like the Broncos defense was so good last week as well. I think this is the real what is Daniel Jones game. Like remember last year, Sam Darnold, who I think Jones has gotten a lot of comparisons from. It's like you look at those two were. You look at how Darnold started the year, and it's like he plays well. I'm like, okay, that's one game, but like, is this, are you good? And it's like, when do you say yes, this player is good? Because Darnold in the previous year had like 3 good games and then stopped playing well. So like, I don't know. I think we're going to really find that out in this game. But yeah, I am going to go with the Denver Broncos. I think Bo Nix, again, another guy who had like 4 horrible plays. Outside of that, played pretty well with Denver. But like, you can't have those horrible plays. Can't do that against the Colts. But yeah, 2 very similar teams. I'm going to go with the team I just trust more because I saw it last year in Denver.
Yeah, I think I agree with this. This definitely is a better test for Indianapolis and Daniel Jones as far as the defense goes. I mean, this is as tough as it gets for Daniel Jones as far as the test goes. So we'll see how he looks in week 2. I do think the impressive thing was how well they blocked for him in week 1. Can the Broncos disrupt him a little bit? I think that's going to be an interesting aspect of that one. And yeah, I think I agree with you. I think, this could be the overreaction line and all of a sudden it's like the Broncos are winning this one by a touchdown, and we're not batting our eyelashes at it. But it definitely is one that we ask a lot of questions. Can Daniel Jones keep up that? Can Bo Nix play better than he did in week 1? Both of those questions are going to be very interesting to me.
Yeah, I have to ask. I keep seeing you glance over. What are you keeping an eye on?
I'm trying to keep an eye on the Red Sox subtly. I'm not doing it very subtly.
Okay, gotcha. It was distracting me. We're just curious. No, that's okay. You got to move. You got to have a TV closer to the camera, I think.
I know. I can't move it much closer as it is logistically. But Aroldis Chapman just gave up his first hit in like 50 innings.
Oh, gotcha. Right, I remember he had that stretch. Anyway, yeah, Broncos Colts. It should be a fascinating game. I don't know. Do we have anything else? Did we cover it?
I think so. I think the one thing, like I said, the Broncos offense I do think is interesting because RJ Harvey looked as explosive as you'd want in week 1. He looks like he has some juice to him. So if they can get this pass game going with him in the backfield, because that is something they did not have last season. They couldn't generate anything in the running with the running backs. If they can get something out of the pass game and like kind of mesh everything together, that's all of a sudden a really interesting team, especially with that defense.
Eli in the chat says, if Daniel Jones looks great in week 2, how much stock do you buy into him? I try to not let one week like completely dictate things. I think I would need more than 2 weeks of good Daniel Jones before I fully buy in. We've seen him play well back-to-back weeks, but I'm already like, I think he's probably going to have a pretty solid year.
Yeah, I think this is a better team with Daniel Jones, and I thought about that. I thought that before the offseason. Do I think they're going to be as good as they were in week 1 all the time? No, but like I think he's capable of at least steering this ship.
Yeah, I mean, going from getting to play against the Miami Dolphins to now having to play against the Denver Broncos, that's like getting to watch Tom Brady play for your team and then having to watch Mac Jones play for your team.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, just trying to come up with an example off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's the first one you
saw. That's right, you're a Patriots fan. Sorry about that. I forgot.
Uh-huh. All right, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to another Tom Brady's former team, the Buccaneers, taking on the Texans on Monday Night Football, one of the Monday Night Football games. Kyle, who do you have winning this one?
I am going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to lock it up.
Okay.
I'm going to take it. I still like Tampa Bay a lot more. I think the offense took a little bit to get going in week 1. I think they looked good towards the end of the game. I think what we saw with Emeka Egbuka gets me really excited about this team. I think they got a lot going for them. I like the Bucs. I still think they're a better team. And I have real concerns about the Texans moving the ball this season, especially with the way they're calling plays. So, yeah, give me Tampa.
Yeah, Texans receiving corps was really underwhelming in week 1, struggling against not a great secondary with the Rams. And then the offensive line also. Forget about getting beat because you're going to get beat sometimes. Like, they were horrible at picking up pressure and picking up stunts and blitzes last week. And if you're bad at that now, it's, Todd Bowles isn't going to make that easier on you. So that's the real concern that Texans have to have is offensively. I do think Stroud played well last week despite the bad numbers. So you're just going to need Stroud to kind of bail you out there and do it all offensively, or get Nico Collins to start play better than he did last week. The flip side is for, how did the Buccaneers move the ball? And I think my biggest concern is like we saw Baker put the ball in harm's way a lot last week. This Texans team can capitalize on mistakes. And I feel like that's the concern I have heading into Monday Night Football is will the Buccaneers be able to move the ball with their injuries? They don't have a great offensive line right now. They might not be able to pass protect very well as well. They do have just more weapons right now with, again, Nico Collins had a bad week 1. I don't want to write him off, but like Tampa Bay should be able to cover one guy easier than the Texans can cover Emeka Egbuka, Mike Evans, and even Cade Otton. Like there's more weapons there for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I would say like Baker does have that tendency where he just has this one game where he decides he's just gonna like go for it at all times. So I wouldn't be too worried just yet. I do think that there is an opportunity there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to still move the ball offensively, even though I still think it's going to be pretty hard against this team for sure, because this is a good Texans defense, and this could be a low scoring game just in general. I do have concerns about both of these offensive lines a little bit though in this matchup. So yeah. I think whoever wins that matchup up front could be a big one. And, I could see this being a bit more of a Rachaad White game just because of the pass protection aspect, catching the ball out of the backfield, catching that defensive line by surprise. But I do think the big thing I'm looking at here is that Tampa Bay just feels like they have more counters to what Houston wants to do compared to what Houston countering what Tampa wants to do. I think Tampa's going to get really tricky with the way they bring their pass rush in. And Stroud, like you said, I do think Stroud's a good quarterback despite like the underwhelming numbers the past year in one game. But he's being asked to do a lot right now with this team.
He is. I will say last time these two teams played each other a couple years ago was Stroud's rookie year. Stroud completely lit up the Tampa Bay defense. So whole new group of guys and all that stuff. But, it is a similar scheme. So there is maybe that as potential. I think it's a coin flip game, so I'm happy I didn't have to pick it.
Yeah, it is a close one. There is one lock I liked a little more, but, I think that's going to be taken by you, and you have the advantage picking first. So,
yeah. Well, Kyle, let's get further into the show. Give me a game.
Yeah, let's go. All right, let's just do the rematch. The Super Bowl rematch this week. Let's go Eagles at Chiefs.
Yeah. Was also you could have gone Seahawks Steelers if you're going for Super Bowl rematches.
Yeah, that is true. I was going for the most recent one though.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think when most people think Super Bowl rematch, they're like, oh right, yeah, Matt Hasselbeck. Yeah, that one. No. Listen.
Hopefully referees don't involve themselves in that game.
Let's hope so. Eagles Chiefs. I am picking the Eagles to win this game. Kind of crazy that the Chiefs are underdogs and they're like the fourth game selected. Like I feel like every time they've been underdogs, they've been the first game selected. Or just we picked the Chiefs to win. I just feel like there's a lot of issues with the Chiefs right now. Their defense did not play well at all week one. Receiving core didn't play well. They didn't block well in front of Mahomes. They didn't rush the passer well. They did nothing well except for one player, but that player is still Mahomes. So because of that, this is a 1.5 point, spread. Kyle, if both quarterbacks were injured for this game, is this like a 10-point spread?
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. There is a big talent gap, and that was the thing with the last year's Super Bowl that we talked about. And yeah, I think that there is a talent gap here, and Philadelphia still looks better. I do think Philadelphia has some defensive concerns too. I think their secondary has some issues, but we saw Kansas City's wide receivers not really take advantage of those situations in week one. So can they take advantage of Philadelphia on the outside is going to be the big question. They do have Mahomes, I agree. But if you can't block, and there's just still too many good pass rushers, I think, on this Philadelphia team to really say, oh, even Mahomes could do all this. He can do a lot of it, but can he do it every single play? I think is going to be the big issue here. So I do like the Eagles in this game. I still think that there is a matchup nightmare there. And yeah, I still think the Chiefs secondary has issues, and Jalen Hurts diced them up in the Super Bowl, and I think he's going to continue to do so.
Probably. And I also the one thing I'll say as well is the Eagles defense did not look great week one. And yes, that was, all the weapons that Dallas has, but still, could that happen again? Could there be weaknesses here that Mahomes can exploit?
There is. I mean, what we saw in week one is definitely exploitable. Can Philadelphia adjust what they were doing in week one? I mean, we'll see. Those corners struggled in week one. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like if CeeDee Lamb catches a few balls, they very easily lose that game. And we're both looking at both of these teams rematching a Super Bowl 0-1. They're not facing CeeDee Lamb though. That's the first part. Even though he dropped the ball, he was getting open all the time. And the other aspect of that is is there adjustments? Quinyon Mitchell was a good player last year. Was last week just a fluke, or is it going to be a down year for him? We'll see. I think he has to get better. And then the other side, those corners, Adoree Jackson and I forget the other guy they brought in. He wasn't very good either. Do you consider moving Cooper DeJean back to the outside? Do you do something along those lines that's drastic, or do you just hope those guys play better in week two? I think that's the questions that Philadelphia has to answer. But that being said, I think that there is enough pieces there still that feels like a much smaller issue than the Chiefs, where we saw Shamari Connor and Watson and all those guys on the outside really struggle against the Chargers and Quentin Johnson. Now they're going up against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That feels like a big, big problem.
Yeah. It does. I don't know though. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. Does the fact that it's an Arrowhead mean anything to you?
I mean, a little. Like, I think it
Mm-hmm.
does matter. Like,
Yeah.
I certainly think that helps, but at the same time, like, it's still until we see the Chiefs players that we're concerned about playing better. I just don't know if they can play with this caliber of opponent, and that seems insane to say, but like, I mean, how good does Patrick Mahomes have to be for them to win these games?
Yeah, he has to be. I mean, again, he was perfect last week and they still lost. Well, he wasn't perfect, but he was insane last week and they still lost.
Yeah. I mean, he was. Yeah, it's just, and especially they don't have the receivers anymore. They don't really have. Kelsey is not the same that he was. He had mistakes last week. He did get the touchdown, but that was more on a busted coverage. It wasn't like Kelsey did anything amazing on that play. The run game looked pretty putrid last week. So yeah, I think Mahomes has to play. He has to play Superman for this team right now, unless something changes and some of these guys play better, which is possible. It was week 1, but I think what we've seen for the past few seasons now is that like there are some flawed players on this team that were masked by some great players, and now there's just one great player left. It feels like.
Yeah. Crazy. There's still Chris Jones. I know he didn't have a great week 1, but there still is that.
Yeah.
But at least offensively, yeah, you're right. What a time. The Kansas State Chiefs. That's the other thing is I just feel like we're like, oh yeah, the end of the horror movie. Like everything's good. Get it. We killed Jason Voorhees. Everything's fantastic.
Yeah, nobody is dead yet. I'm not saying they're dead. I think right now they have some issues though, and I don't think the issues are going to get solved in the how long is it going to be? 9 days since their last game. So I think by the end of the season they're going to be good. They're going to be in the playoffs, and I'm not worried about the Chiefs. But right now I am.
Yeah, maybe this is like just the beginning of the horror movie of like the sequel, where it's like it's going to be bad later, but like for now at least it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Kyle, first off, I realized when I sent you the lines for the week, I forgot to send you the Raiders-Chargers line. Chargers are 3-point favorites this week. But anyway, I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you a kind of a fun Sunday night game choice. The Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I looked at this line initially and said Vikings and potentially a lock, but like, I don't know, man. That offense still can move. We've seen Michael Penix now for, what is it, a 3-game sample of his career? Like, it's still not perfect. 4-game sample, right? And it's still not perfect, and he did get away with a few lucky throws last week for sure. But he's competitive, man. Like, he makes moves. He can make things happen. He still makes good throws along with, a couple bad ones here and there. It still seems like he's learning and getting better each week. I like him. I like him a lot, and I like what the Falcons are doing there. I think even their defense, you saw a little more life to it. That being said, I do think a lot of the things we saw with JJ McCarthy last week and where he struggled had to do with pressure, and I just don't see them getting a lot of pressure in this game. I think there's a huge advantage up front with Minnesota's offensive line and what it looks like this week, and I think they should be able to move the ball, and I still think their defense is going to get a few stops, so I'm going to go Vikings win this one.
Yeah, I will say the Falcons' defense played better than maybe I would have thought heading into that game against Tampa Bay. They were able to get some pressure for the first time in forever. Their secondary looked a lot better, so there is that. Kyle, excuse me. The last time these two quarterbacks played each other is for a national championship, so that's kind of a fun thing with JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix. I do think that I guess my question is: are we overreacting to one quarter of football from Minnesota?
Possibly, but I also am giving a lot of this team the benefit of the doubt because they look so good last season. Yes, it's still going to take time for McCarthy, I think, to ramp up to what he can be or, what he could be at the best with his offense. But, a lot of guys on this team beyond JJ McCarthy did not play well the first 3 quarters of the game. And those guys were on this team last year and played well. So I think I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to have some fixes and see some things on the tape. And I believe in the infrastructure of this team. I obviously like this team a lot in the offseason. We talked about that. So I'm not going to overreact to a shaky start to week 1 where they still won the game and played well at the end.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, so I think really the interesting thing about this game is, again, what are these two teams. The Falcons offense looked very good week one. Their defense looked a lot better than we thought it was going to be heading into the year. The Minnesota Vikings, their defense, we had some questions about their secondary, but that did okay. Also, there is a Drake London injuries concern. We don't know exactly what's going on with that as of right yet, but if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. I don't believe we know if he's going to play, but I'm assuming he's not. So that's also, a big disadvantage for Atlanta going into this one.
Yeah, if he's not out there, that's a problem, obviously. That changes a lot. So it'll be interesting for sure. I think the Vikings as a team, like the tough thing, week one always feels tricky to evaluate because, we talked about it. Like you have 6 or 7 months to basically prepare for a team. Yes, there are some changes in personnel, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's a brand new coaching staff and all that. But like the Falcons, for the most part, had 6 months to prepare for the Bucs or whenever that schedule was announced. They had a long time to evaluate that. And Raheem Morris probably put together a pretty decent game plan in that amount of time, given his pedigree as a defensive coordinator. So we'll see how they adjust in week two. They did look good in week one. I am excited for this. I am a little more excited for this team, but this is still a tough test, I think.
Actually, I looked it up. I guess it was announced earlier today that Drake London should play. So that's not what I was expecting, but that's good news for Atlanta. But Drew brings up it's a former NFC Championship rematch. Yeah, that's true. The Dirty Bird Falcons and then the famous Gary Anderson missed field goal game.
A lot of rematches today. A lot going on.
Yeah. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's do Thursday night. Thursday night's always tricky for me. I tend to stay away from it as much as I can. Balls at Packers.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Have these two teams played each other in a big game? I'm trying to think. Probably been in a playoff game at some point before they were called the Balls. Really interesting game here. I am going to go Green Bay. I do think that there is so like the Washington defense is a very fascinating situation of they played. Okay, I thought that the Giants didn't look very great offensively. Sorry for optimistic Giants fans out there. If you're an optimistic Giants fan, I'm sorry for you. But, what is that going to do against a good team? I can't help but think about Dan Quinn and going up against Matt LaFleur in that playoff game when Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. The Cowboys were the 2 seed, and they got smoked by LaFleur in that game. I trust LaFleur in that coaching matchup. I think that the X factor is as good as this Packers defense looked week one. We've seen it where a great defense goes up against a great quarterback, and the great quarterback just makes them look like high schoolers out there. Is that what's going to happen here? I'm not going to bet on it. I'm going to bet Green Bay. But yeah, I think that's the X factor.
It is the X factor. I think it's an interesting matchup for sure. Look, I think Micah Parsons would be great for this matchup because he would be great to track down a scrambling quarterback. That being said, if he's still on a snap count, I think the issue you run into is can Jaden Daniels kind of run around and then poke some holes in this Packers defense that looked really good in week one, right? They didn't allow a lot of yards for catch out of the backfield in really any situations. They just tackled really well. They stopped the run, all that sort of stuff. But a quarterback that can buy time, scramble, can cause a mess to any game plan. So I think I'd be excited. I think there's still optimism that Daniels can come in here and kind of dominate this defense, like you said, especially after 1 week of sample size that they played really well. But that being said, I think the Packers still have more talent on both sides of the ball. And we'll see what the Balls defense looks like in week two. The fact that they played a team and they immediately went to a quarterback controversy, I'm not sure how real that was and that performance was.
Possibly. Yeah, that's fair. I guess it's good and bad if something like that happens. And the other thing is Jordan Love was really good week one. He did have one drive where I thought Matt LaFleur was okay, just don't turn it over. And Jordan Love just I should be allowed to turn it over a little. He should be able to throw some interceptions here. So that was don't do that. And that's the other way that the Commanders can win is if they win the turnover battle, which can be said for every team, but that's a live option in this game. But I just feel like there's too much talent on Green Bay. Green Bay's offensive line was awesome last week. There's so much good stuff. This is the exact how we do the previews and every preview show, there's one delusional fan who's actually all these things are going to be awesome and you're just a hater. For the Packers, they were correct. Everything has been awesome this season.
For week one.
For 1 week. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, they looked very, very impressive. I mean, they were the most impressive team of week one, I think. I think a lot of people came away from that game, especially with it being the afternoon primetime game. People got really excited about that performance, and I think it's justified. But we'll see how it looks in week two. Plenty of teams have won week one looking impressive and not even made the playoffs. So we'll see how it looks.
That's true. A lot of people are confused about the name of the balls. We 5 years now. We've just been confusing people left and right.
Yeah, they'll figure it out eventually.
I think so. Yeah. Let's move on. I think now with the whole should they change your name back? It's almost like a political statement calling the balls.
It is. We're standing for what's right. It was the football team.
Yes, exactly. That is correct. Kyle, let's go with the Super Bowl rematch. Seahawks taking on the Steelers here. What will the refs do here? How will Ben Roethlisberger play? Where are you going?
Yeah, refs are definitely a big part of this one. I'm sure we'll see plenty of highlights of all that good stuff. Can't wait for that. I am going to go Steelers. This is going to be an interesting game for me, too. I want to see how both of these teams look in week two. Mainly, I want to see what the Steelers look like in week two because they moved the ball effortlessly in week one, and then they couldn't stop anything in week one, which was very surprising and not what we expected from the Steelers normally. However, I think it's a bad matchup for Seattle's offense. You know, you're looking at the Seattle offensive line, which we talked about a lot this offseason, has plenty of issues. And you're going against the Steelers, who have good pass rushers, to put it mildly. So I do think that's a bit of a problem. This feels like it could be a get-right game for the Steelers' defensive line and defense as a whole to kind of get after the Seahawks and cause some problems, cause some pressure. And we know Sam Darnold under pressure is going to have some turnover-worthy plays. So I like the Steelers' defense guiding this one. And they're going up against a tough 10 defense again, the Steelers' offense. But they look really good in week one. We'll see how they look in week two.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Steelers' defensive line didn't get a ton of pressure last week, but again, how much of that is just the Jets' good young offensive line? I am fascinated in how the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to attack the Seattle defense. I thought Seattle played a great defensive game, with the exception of not being able to come down with a couple of Brock Purdy jump balls at the end on that final drive. Like, other than that, they were really good. I do think that, for the Steelers, I think that Rodgers' performance was a bit overinflated week one. He was also vastly underrated last year. I think that, I'm interested in seeing what the Steelers' offense looks like against a defense that I expect to be pretty good.
Yeah, this is a very good defense. It's very talented. And like you said, there's not even the funny thing is they have such talented players in the secondary. They should have had 3 or 4 interceptions last week. And they just didn't. So that would have changed the game. And I think they may be able to come down with some turnovers in this game. And
Rodgers probably should have thrown a couple last week too that the Jets couldn't capitalize on.
Yeah, there is an opportunity for the ball to be put in harm's way, but I think it's on both sides. Like I said, I think that the Steelers, I'm not going to overreact to one game where the defense didn't play well. I think that was a weird prep game with that offense and what they were expecting, which, you probably could have expected plenty of runs and the sort of things that the Jets did do in week one, but it's very different just to prep for something and then also see it on the field for first time. And I think that was a big aspect of it. And they did look a little slow to the game. I think they ramp up a little bit in this game. And like I said, this, at least with the Jets, that is a very good offensive line too. This offensive line should be food for TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith.
Yeah. Counterpoint, don't these teams both feel like they should be 500 after 2 weeks?
Yeah, there's always that narrative, but
1-1 feels right. I feel there's a few teams that that's kind of like the Chiefs being 0-2. It's scaring me from picking against the Chiefs.
But you picked the Eagles.
I know, I'm saying, but that was my biggest do I really want to do this?
Yeah, I mean it's possible. We'll see.
It's just a point. It's just a point in this Seahawks' favor. These both feel like 500 ball clubs.
It could be a thing, but at the same time, Seahawks, I don't know, man. I'm deeply concerned about this offense. I really am. Yeah. It's not getting out of my head. It didn't look good in week one to me. And, Jackson Smith and Jigba is not going to be able to have 90% of your yards passing all season and then expect a lot of success.
Yeah, that's the issue. I don't know. I don't see who else. Someone else has to step it up for the Seahawks to win this game. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, let's do this could be the overreaction game of week one. Let's do from week one. Let's do Jaguars at Bengals.
Okay, gotcha. Overreaction in what way? Well, I'm picking the Bengals to win, but overreaction in what way?
I think there could be some Jaguars momentum in this game. I think we saw some decent things from Travis Hunter in week one. I think we saw some, Brian Thomas was impactful. Could we, Travis Etienne had a couple big plays in that game. Could we all of a sudden see this Jaguars offense move the ball against this bad defense? And then, it was the Panthers. We'll see how it looks, but the Jaguars defense also had some moments too. So what if they're able to slow down Cincinnati a little bit again in week two? Cincinnati was slowed down a little bit in week one. And then you're looking at the Jaguars kind of running away with this game.
Yeah. In hindsight, this is a good pick. I feel like I should have given this to you earlier because yeah, I don't know exactly what to make of this Bengals team. I've been I guess the Jaguars are the team I have the 32nd best grasp on. I don't fully get what they are right now because there was a lot of questions entering the season, and then they played the Panthers, so I still have most of those questions. But again, it's a football team. You blew out a football team. That's still impressive. But I still think ultimately you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins. I didn't think Trevor Lawrence was great, even though they had that blowout in week one. I do think Josh Hines Allen should be able to have a really good game in this one. That's something to look for. But yeah, I still just feel like I'll trust the star talent of the Cincinnati Bengals against a team I'm assuming is going to be mediocre. I could be just too low on the Jaguars though, because I don't have a great grasp on them right now.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be interesting to see how both of these teams look in week two, because they played basically two of the worst teams in the NFL in week one to mixed results, right? I agree with you. I don't think Lawrence was awesome in that game. But that being said, I don't think he has to look awesome in this game either to be good. So I think the Jaguars should be able to move the ball. And look, week one, they didn't look awesome. Myles Garrett dominated the game. But that being said, it's if the Bengals score on 7 straight possessions in this game, nobody's going to be shocked. They can still do that. They could still bounce back and do that. And this is also always the sleepiest team to show up in week one. So maybe week two looks even better and they kind of kick it into gear and wake up a little bit. So I wouldn't be shocked that either team winning this game. I think I would lean Jaguars, honestly, just because I just don't know what to make of this Bengals team until we see it. Because year after year, they do the same thing to us.
Yeah, what's going to come down to for me is the Browns actually did a really good job at hanging with the receivers for the Browns defense. I think my takeaway was oh, that's actually a pretty good defense. I think we kind of forgot that there's a lot of talent there, and they played defensively very well in a lot of those plays. On some of those third downs, we saw Joe Burrow throw it down the field, and they were able to cover it. Candy's young corners who looked good week one of the Jordan Lewis and Tyson Campbell and Jerron Jones. Really, it'll be Lewis and Campbell. Can they hang with these top two guys at least to an okay degree in week two?
Yeah. And Campbell's definitely got the speed for it. I think he has the opportunity. I still like him as a player, even though it's been a bit of an up and down career. But, that's still a tough matchup against Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Kyle, let's go for the battle of the AFC West right now. Raiders Chargers. That's right. No Chiefs here. I guess technically the Broncos could be 2-0 as well, but they wouldn't have the divisional victory. So the winner of this will lead the division no matter what. Who do you have leading the division after week two?
Yeah, very interesting game. I'm excited for this one. Again, get a little more clarity on both of these teams. I am going to lean Chargers for this one. I think there's a couple of interesting matchups to look at here. The first thing is Patrick Mahomes did have a decent amount of success over the middle of the field last week, and I am going to be interested in see how that looks in week two, because that's still where I think the Raiders' bread and butter is going to be offensively. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to throw over the middle. We'll see how. I haven't seen any update for actually Brock Bowers in this game and how he's ready to go, but if he's ready to go and Myers is playing and all that, I think they're going to have success over the middle of the field. That being said, I just think the way Justin Herbert looked week one and what this the offensive weapons the Chargers are bringing to the table, I think they got a chance to be really, really freaking good. And that might be an overreaction to week one. We'll see how it looks going forward. But I think Justin Herbert still is a star waiting to happen. And he looked like it in week one. And he's got plenty of time to prep for this team. I think that, the Raiders secondary did play well in week one. I give them the credit for that. But that being said, I think it's a different animal going up against Herbert. And I think he's going to be able to move the ball.
Probably. Yeah, that's what concerns me is like it's your again, sorry Kyle, but you're going from Mac Jones to from Drake May. Yeah, I apologize. That was uncalled for. Going up against Drake May, from Drake May to Justin Herbert it's a bit of a tier jump there that they're going to have to overcome. I just think the Chargers offense will be able to make some noise, but again, can the Raiders hang with them? Like last week was a shootout. Could we have that again? That's not what we thought we'd get from the Chargers entering this year, but maybe to start the year, like the Chargers did play in shootouts last year. Like they beat the Bengals in a shootout last year. Like they did have those occasional games. Maybe that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah. I am definitely very interested to see how it all plays out. Also, like the Chargers, Rashawn Slater's still on the IR. He has to miss at least the first 4 games. They look pretty good still with Trey Pipkins in there at that right tackle spot and Joe Alt moving over to the left. And I mean, things just look so easy for them offensively in week one. So I don't really know what to make of it because that is a good Chiefs defensive line that they made things look easy again. So how is that going to look? I know the Raiders also have a good defensive line, but how is that group going to hold up? Can the Raiders create any pressure off that? Because yeah, I think if Herbert has time, he's going to pick them apart. I just do.
Yeah. It should be interesting. Also, I want to see, can we get some running in going here, Raiders, in week 2?
Yeah. I mean, let's, I think that the Patriots definitely had a game plan emphasized on stopping that. And they had success against it. I'm still not worried about Gene T long term, but yeah, I'd like to see him get going a little bit in this game.
Yeah, we'll see, but yeah, let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, next on the list we got we're gonna go with Bears at Lions.
Okay, Bears-Lions, a bit of a surprising line, I guess, with the Lions being 6.5-point favorites. Like, I didn't think the Bears were, like, horrible week 1. I'm picking the Lions to win outright, obviously. I think that they're the better team. Although, again, like, the Lions did not look good at all week 1. I mean, like, they couldn't move the ball. This is the Ben Johnson revenge game here, Kyle. There is a weirdly large amount of Lions fans that really don't like Ben Johnson, which is kind of a weird thing I've noticed. I don't fully get that, given that he stayed for multiple. I guess he went to a division rival, so I guess I get it. But also, like he purposely turned down head coaching jobs to try and win a Super Bowl. That's interesting. But Kyle, here's what the Lions have to do. They have to really make Ben Johnson look not that good, because for a Lions fan, you just have to hope Ben Johnson goes so horrible as a head coach he can be right back next year, right?
Yeah,
that's the dream scenario.
Yeah. So dominate so he gets fired, and then hope it works out that he comes back. I like it. I don't think Ben Johnson is getting fired after the first year, but the Lions fans can dream. I do like them in this game too, but yeah, this does feel like an overreaction, or an overreaction to the second half of the Bears performance, because I think this team is still better, but we'll see. I do want to see what this Lions offense looks like in week 2, because my biggest concern heading in this game is, among all things, like I think the offensive play calling and stuff is going to eventually work itself out. I think it is. But the one thing I am worried about is this interior offensive line looked like it had its hands full in week 1, and they couldn't run the ball up the middle at all. And they couldn't do the normal line stuff we've seen the last few seasons. That, to me, is still a big concern, because it is so many new and unknown faces compared to what we're so used to in Detroit, which is dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, like, I don't think the X's and O's are going to be bad, like, this year. It's more so just, like, there's, like, 3 or 4 guys who are, like, absolute difference makers when it comes to X's and O's. And I think Ben Johnson is one of those guys. Like, I think it's just, like, when the Falcons lost Kyle Shanahan, they weren't like a poorly called offense from that point forward, but just it wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, it isn't. I mean, it's definitely going to be a step backwards. I don't think basically my point. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was in week 1 all the time.
Sure. Yeah,
That's
again,
my general point.
I think also I'll say this again. Goff can't make the mistakes he made last week. Again, I think guys aren't going to be as open. He's going to throw the football a little bit more. You kind of get used to that. Those are things you have to kind of figure out when you're, with a new coordinator, right? And they've had the same coordinator for a bit, so like it makes sense that that's not fully going the way you'd want it to. Again, like I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this Bears team. Like again, like to me, it's a simple take, but like it's Caleb Williams, right? Like we need to see this get better.
Yes, we do need to see some development. So yeah, he's got to read the game better. We'll see how he looks in time with this offense, but it didn't. There was still too many mistakes in week one. There's still too many times where he starts to scramble and tucks the ball and stops looking downfield. Things like that. But we'll see how it looks overall. But yeah, he does need to improve in this game for them to win and beat good playoff teams. This
probably isn't a loser leaves town, but this is like a loser has to find where the panic button is, right? I'm not saying to press it, but you got to know where that is.
It definitely, this does feel like there's potential red flags all over this game, right? Like, if the Lions offense or the Bears offense looks bad in week 2, you got to start asking a lot of questions.
Either one of these teams, we could come out of this being like, that team stinks.
Yeah. The funny thing is, this game could end up 45-42, and both of these offenses look great, and we would still say, the team that lost has issues.
Well, yeah, could you be 0-2, and you just gave up 42 points?
Yeah, sure, but I don't know, I just want to see these teams move the ball more consistently. That's all.
Yeah.
I still think long term, they could end up the top 7 teams in the NFC, but the NFC is competitive, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think so as well. Kyle, let's go to another game. Let's go to I'm going to give you a game now. I'm going to give you Rams taking on the frisky Titans. Who do you got?
Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Cam Ward. I thought he had some good stuff in week 1. It wasn't perfect again, but I thought he made some really good throws that his receivers gave him absolutely no help for. I think the Rams have some really talented defensive players. I think the secondary actually looked really good in week 1. Now, granted, we mentioned, is that a Houston receiver issue, or is that the Rams secondary actually being talented? We know this front seven's good. I'm not convinced this young Titans offensive line is ready to play yet. So I think this could be an opportunity for the Rams to kind of put the beat down on them there. Titans defense is okay, so maybe it keeps them in the game. But overall, I think the Rams are a different class of opponent. Give me the Rams.
Kyle, I have a critique of the Rams secondary. So Akilla Witherspoon, he was kind of the guy who was on I'm blanking on his name now. The number 1 receiver for the Texans, Nico Collins. Yeah, he was kind of on Nico Collins for this game. He handled that very well. We had the duo of Emmanuel Forbes was the primary other corner in this game with 50 snaps. Kobe Durant had 25 snaps. Kobe Durant should have 75 snaps, and Emmanuel Forbes should have 0, right? That's not what we should be doing here.
Yeah. I mean, I know they want to use Kobe in nickel sets, stuff like that, but he needs to be on the field more. He is a better player.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the year we will. That's the way this is going to go. I totally agree about Cam Ward. Cam Ward, one of the real candidates for most underrated week 1, because he did do a lot of nice things, even if he did took too many sacks, a couple mistakes. But Dan Ward Jr. not living up to the contract week 1. That was a rough show of it. He's gonna have his hands full against the Rams. That's concerning. I think there's going to be more issues. I do think we could have some opportunities. I know the secondary mostly played well week 1, but I do think there are ways you can attack that, and I want to see if Ward can try and do that. But yeah, you have to pick the Rams to win. I just feel I don't know. Titans frisky. Defense played well week 1. I'm willing to say there's maybe some upset potential here.
Maybe, but it's going to require the offense to look a heck of a lot better than it did in week 1, and that's I think the biggest issue. They did get the 4 field goals, but at the same time, they had some turnover help there too, and just weren't even really to take advantage of it. So let's see how this team can move the ball. Wait, was it 4 field goals or did they get a touchdown? Regardless, I think that I think that they still need to show a lot of improvement on offense to really get things going. So it's still a really tough matchup for your first 2 weeks in the NFL. They needed to play why couldn't they get the Panthers or something like that?
Yeah, I agree. That's a tough one. Again, it's like potential. I'm saying the upset potential compared to the other teams that are left as well.
That's true. There's not a lot left here.
No, so everyone can just tune out now. Show's basically over. Kyle, give me a game.
Listen, this team, I know they're facing one of the best teams in football. They came off a dramatic win, though. Big, a lot of expectations on that week 1 game. The Jets look pretty frisky week 1. Could they compete in week 2? Let's go Bills at Jets.
Probably not. I mean, I agree. The Jets look. This is unfortunate for the Jets that after that week 1, now to have to go play the Bills. It's like a get wrong game basically for them. Yeah, you're right. Like I don't even know if I'd feel comfortable betting the Bills plus or minus 6.5, which I definitely would have felt comfortable week 1 doing that because the Jets offense did look very good. Kyle, this Jets defense was horrible last week, and now you got the MVP favorite and reigning MVP coming to town. Who I think the Bills offense should roll in this game. Yes, the Jets offense might be able to put up some points. We'll learn more about the Bills defense, especially when they struggled to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry, Justin Fields, and blanking everyone's name. The Jets running back. Why am I forgetting everyone's name here, Kyle? But Breece Hall, yes, thank you. But that's not quite Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. They do some similar things though, so like there is potential for this to be a fun game, but I just feel like, I mean, again, the Ravens had this team down 15 points with 4 minutes left and couldn't even make it to overtime. I just feel like this is a team that you have to say is, probably going to win this one.
I would say so too. I mean, obviously they're the better team. They're the favorites for a reason, heavy favorites. I don't know what's going on with this Jets defense. I mean, this is a now 18-game sample of them kind of looking mediocre, and they didn't look good last week, I would say, overall.
Hey, they looked pretty solid before Robert Saleh got fired last year.
Right, exactly. So basically, since he got fired to now, yeah. I mean, this is a group that we anticipated being like a top unit last season.
Yeah.
And they just weren't that. And they look even a further step back. Granted, there's a lot of new faces on this defense. It's not the same, but there's still a lot of the core pretty good players here. So I want to see if they can have anything left, or if they can, should we just lower our expectations for this Jets defense altogether? That being said, this is a really tough matchup to expect that from. I will say this Bills defense, since about week 9-ish last year, has struggled. Their EPA has gone way down defensively since in that stretch. I thought Tre'Davious White was not ready for that performance in week 1. I didn't think he was that good. And look, for all the faults that the Ravens had at the end of that game, they ran all over that team. They ran all over this defense too, and there's issues in the secondary, I think, as well. Even though I like Benford, I like Teron Johnson, there's just not like a lot of blue chip guys in that group. So there's optimism. I think the Jets can move the ball, especially with the way they looked in week 1. But that being said, as good as Justin Fields and Breece Hall look, that is a downgrade from Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Yeah. That may be a hot take. We'll see. But that is going to be a bit of a downgrade. So we'll see if they can back it up again in week 2. But look, they struggled to stop the run. Jets have a good offensive line. They have 2 good running backs, and they have a really mobile running quarterback. And they have a receiver on the outside in Garrett Wilson who looked really good in week 1. Can they do all this, put it together, and have a decent day in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing for Buffalo is like their biggest issue is like Dorian Strong, their number 2 corner, not playing particularly great. You do have Christian Benford, who should be able to hang with Garrett Wilson, so he should be okay there, I would assume. And for the Jets, it's just like, again, like Brandon Stevens is getting like just like cornerback 2 snaps. This is the guy who couldn't even be successful with the Ravens last year. Like that's just not like, secondary depth matters, and they're really just Sauce Gardner and Andre Sisco in the secondary. Sauce Gardner was awesome week 1. Sauce Gardner might be back.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the weak link thing as far as defense goes because I mean they look like a different the other guys are not on his caliber is the issue.
Yeah, I agree. No arguments there. Kyle, let's go to a divisional game. Giants Cowboys. This is the rematch of a classic game, probably. They played each other a lot. I bet they played in a classic game. Kyle, who do you have winning?
Yeah, I mean, I am going to take the Cowboys. Their offense did look good in week 1 up until that lightning storm. And honestly, if their best player catches a few balls that he normally makes, they probably win week 1 against the defending Super Bowl champ. So give me the Cowboys in this game. There are a few things I am interested in seeing how the Cowboys handle, unless Dexter Lawrence plans on spitting somebody. I will say that the Cowboys offensive line interior held up really, really well. And I think even outperformed the Philadelphia defensive line, which is not something we expected in that projection for that game. This is a very good Giants defensive line too. So how does that interior with a lot of, the council of Tylers they have on that offensive line, how do they hold up against this Giants defensive line, which should have all of its bodies? So that is an interesting matchup for me. But that being said, I don't know if this Giants team could even move the ball on the Cowboys, who did struggle defensively. So, can they take advantage of enough of that stuff? You're still going to have Bland out there, who did really well in week 1. There was a lot of conversation about A.J. Brown in that game. And look, it was just, I think DeRon Bland just played really well. And I think he did his job. So Malik Neighbors may have a tough matchup on his hands. So I got the Cowboys in this game. And, until we see the Giants show anything offensively, I don't know if I can pick them.
Yeah. Michael had a funny comment saying, if you're ever feeling bad about your life, just remember I hyped up the Panthers for an entire offseason just for them not even be able to snap the ball. Michael, I mean, we tried to tell you.
I didn't quite try to tell. I think I picked them to finish second in the NFC South. So
okay, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
Okay, that's Kyle's fault. We'll blame Kyle. So I have to say this: the narrative after week 1 was like Russell Wilson is the problem. Kyle, I mean, this is Malik Neighbors and toothpicks around this offense right now. This is not a good, they can't block. Malik Neighbors is Wan'Dale Robinson is their number 2, is all their depth. Not only is he their number 2 guy, he's the only other guy they're really targeting right here. And I like Wan'Dale Robinson, but that's too big of a role for him. Like you said, the Cowboys will be able to at least limit Malik Neighbors. Maybe not, if not fully shut him down, we can at least limit him. And what else do you do there for the Giants? I do think I don't think it's all on Wilson, and I'm totally in the camp right now of Jackson Dart does not need these reps. Let's not teach him this bad. Let's at least try to get the offense competent, figure out some way that they can stay competitive before we throw him out there, especially with a tough start to the season.
Yeah, this Giants team, man, it's just the offensive line still doesn't feel like it's fixed. They have Tyrone Tracy, they've invested a lot in this offense. I think is the biggest issue. They just don't really have the guys still. Yes, not everybody on this team is a first round blue chipper, but these are all guys. Basically, this entire offense is guys they've drafted. Scatterbo and Tracy are both guys they drafted or brought in. Malik Neighbors was obviously their first round pick. Jalen Hyatt was a 3rd round pick. Wan'Dale Robinson was a 2nd round pick. Darius Slayton was a 5th round pick. Theo Johnson was a 4th round pick. I mean, even you can go to the offensive line. Andrew Thomas is good. That was another good pick. But outside of that, Evan Neal was a disaster, and they've drafted a lot of these other guys too, and they've been disasters. And, they've tried to do this build through the draft thing, and it's hard to build through the draft if you suck at drafting, which it seems like they do at this point, right? You can't blame every 5th round pick not working out on the team not working out, but there's just too much guys relying on that they haven't really developed in the way they wanted to. And yeah, like you said, there's probably 2 good offensive players on this team.
Yeah. Could be tough. Let's move on. Oh, Kyle, I forgot to mention it last week. Ben Skowronek scored a touchdown. We didn't even bring it up with the Steelers.
Your guy. That's your job. That's 100% your guy.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. I think I know where you're going here. Let's go 49ers at Saints, the weird line of the week.
Yeah. This is the weird line of the week. I don't fully get why the 49ers are only 3-point favorites over the Saints. So I'm picking the 49ers, and I am locking up the 49ers. I need to hit a lock here after missing my first lock. Gotta get this 49ers team to win by more than 3. 3 would be a push, which I believe the way we do that is you don't get any extra points, but you also don't get the point taken off your score for hitting your lock. So yeah. I mean, listen, the 49ers have some injuries here. The Saints defense actually looked pretty solid week 1, I thought. But, again, this is just, there's not a ton of talent here. This 49ers defense looked awesome. This is the game the Niners should be able to win by more than 3.
Yeah.
What does Vegas know, Kyle?
Yeah, that is the weird one. I guess they're looking at this defense looked all right, and you're looking at a game with no Ayuk and no Kittle. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, you're running out of options here. That being said, you still have Pearsall, you still have Jennings, you still have McCaffrey, obviously, in the backfield. There are still guys and weapons on this team that I still have concerns about for the Saints defense, even if it looked good in week one. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for San Francisco in week one was like, I did have question mark. I put defense as a question mark for San Francisco because they have lost so many pieces over the last couple of years, despite still having Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. And those guys checked a lot of the boxes in week one. We'll see how it continues to hold up. But they looked impressive in week one, and they're just going against a team that I don't expect to move the ball a whole lot this season. So, yeah, I don't get the line at all, but maybe the Saints defense finds a way to keep it close.
Yeah, I suppose so. Again, Purdy didn't play well week one. Like, I know he got the win and all that, and hey, a win is a win. That's what you're judged on if you're a quarterback, but not his best performance, to say the least, in week one.
I see. So apparently Purdy didn't practice and is a long shot to play Sunday.
How do we miss this?
Yeah, toe and left shoulder injury.
Oh, well, maybe that explains why he did. Oh, well, now I feel like this is a horrible. I got to do my research, I suppose.
Who's tuning in for the Mac Jones versus Spencer Rattler duel? I want to know who's planning on watching this that isn't a fan.
I've locked up Mac Jones.
You locked up Mac Jones. That's what you did indeed. So I hope you're ready.
Oh no! How did I miss this? I think I gotta do. There needs to be like a website you can go to that tells you all the injuries. You just gotta.
Yeah.
The way I find out the injuries is we talk about this on Wednesday, and then people in the chat tell me, oh, by the way, that starting quarterback's injured.
Yeah, that is the thing I have an issue. The NFL.com injury report makes you like click on each individual team, and it's like, you know what? I don't do enough prep for this show to go through all those links. So
yeah, it would legitimately take like an hour.
Yeah, I just want a website that just says like these are the big names. You know what? I don't need to see that like, Tahir Tart might not play. You know what? That's fine.
Right.
Let me see the names at the top. The most important names. Give me all the quarterbacks here. Give me all the receivers here, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, Mac Jones. Here we go. The Mac Jones redemption arc begins. What if Mac Jones wins the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, that'd be good. Kyle, I'm nervous about this lockdown. This might be your season.
I mean, last year was my season. I did win.
Yeah, you did. But this could be the year. Maybe you. Oh, I was gonna say we need to change. I think we need to change the. I meant to bring this up on the first show. We need to change how the finale of this show works, because in the past we've done Super Bowl is 10 points plus the score differential, but it's always less than a 10-point difference, so that never matters. I was thinking, what if we do it this year? It's you get half a point for picking the Super Bowl correctly, plus 2 points for the score differential. So, for example, if the team win, if it's a 7-point, if the Chiefs win 27-20 in the Super Bowl, that would be a 14.5-point Super Bowl. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You'll just have to remind me of what you just said.
I'll remind you, but you understand. So essentially now it's not just try and get within 10. If you're down, it's you want to try and get as close as you can no matter what.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So that'll I think make things more fun 3 months from now. Kyle, give me a game. Wait, no,
I just gave you
I give you a game. Yes. I mean, Panthers, Cardinals. Could the Panthers, maybe just the Jaguars are really good, and maybe the Panthers, who were good last year, can be effective, and the Cardinals were underwhelming week one. Kyle, why are the Cardinals going to
win? Look, you said maybe the Jaguars are really good. You know who is really good? The Arizona Cardinals, who are going to win again in week two.
Okay.
I hope to pick them every week this season. My cards are flying high. Listen, not the best game in week one. The Panthers defense did show some things in week one too. So, they got another interesting test. That Saints defense impressed us more than we thought. But we here at the Arizona Cardinals fan club are going to be just fine. We're expecting a big game here from Marvin Harrison Jr. We're expecting a big game for Trey McBride over the middle. We're going to pass all over these guys. Give me the Cards here, and I would take them -6.5 too.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Panthers were so bad week one. I will say, I'm also, yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say is like you have J.C. Horn going up against Marvin Harrison Jr. Like that feels like the one like maybe like thing you can limit.
Yeah, there's potential for it, but listen, cards are winning. That's all I know.
Yes, Michael with a super chat. He said he 24-ounce beer for $18 was still worth it. Yeah, sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, I think you needed multiple after that game.
No kidding.
Listen,
especially
I think
in Jacksonville. I mean, it probably wasn't as hot because of the weather, but still.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the Dave Canales Panthers are much like the Bengals, where they're sleepy the first couple weeks because that team played a whole lot better by the end of the season.
Yeah.
And as Michael mentioned, they struggled to snap the football in week 1. So we'll see how it looks. Maybe there's some adjustments, but I still think if I'm not overreacting to anything, I still think Arizona's a playoff team and Carolina is not.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. Will Johnson, really good week 1 for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Corner.
Yeah. I mean, that's another big thing too. Like if he is good, I mean, we'll see he looks against a better competition too. But
not this
if
week.
he is, yeah, we'll see how it
Pat
looks.
McMillan's good. Yeah, if he goes up against McMillan, you'll see that.
Yeah, if he is good this season, though, that is a huge boost for the Cardinals again, too, because that is a position that was sorely needed for the last few seasons.
Yes, absolutely. This would be again. I guess the one thing I want to say as well is like, can Bryce Young bounce back? Bryce Young, the narrative is now, oh, you actually were stupid for thinking Bryce Young was good towards the end of last year. I watched those games. He was good. You can't gaslight me into saying he was never good. He was good towards the end of last year. I just want to, hopefully he can not turn the ball over a lot like he did week 1.
Yeah. A lot of things need to improve for sure.
Yes.
But we'll see.
Okay, Kyle, let's go to, this is the game you're giving me, but it's the final game. The biggest spread by a good margin. First double-digit spread of the season. The Browns going to Baltimore. I have to say, 11.5 for the way the Browns are going to try and limit possessions and run the ball. Still probably fine, but it's just kind of a bit surprising for a divisional matchup as well. But, if I had to bet, I probably would bet on Baltimore. But I just can pick, so I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Cleveland Browns. Big get-right game for the Ravens after the disaster that was last week. If the Ravens lose this, I mean, the drama coming up would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this would be the biggest red flag game if they lost it. So don't lose it. Yeah, I think that there is absolutely no excuse for the Ravens to lose this game. We always try to play the devil's advocate of create the pathway for the underdog winning. I don't even see the pathway here. So, Myles Garrett would have to get 5 strip sacks. I
think 4 strip sacks. I'd maybe lean Cleveland to win. I need 5.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
I would need 5.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I think I don't see the vision here. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Yeah, here. Let me do the. I'll try and do the path to victory again. Run the ball a lot, limit possessions. The Ravens defense did not look good week 1. Listen, Josh Allen's not even a Super Bowl champion. Joe Flacco is, so you have that advantage. Okay, I'm getting there, but you just run the ball. You try and see if you can find soft spots in the defense to just do okay. Joe Flacco, for what it's worth, is a veteran, does know where to go with the football and all of that stuff.
Big arm. It's got a good arm.
Sure. I mean, you target Jair Alexander did not play well week 1. You go there, you try and find ways to make this work. And again, the logic is don't turn the ball over, make this an 8-possession game. The Ravens will run the ball as well. And again, the Browns defense was good last week. I mean, you have really good defensive players here, like Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome. It's a really good corner duo. You have a front 7. Mason Graham played really well week 1. Malik Collins, Shelby Harris on the interior, Myles Garrett on the outside. This is a good defensive line. Carson Schlesinger was awesome as the third, a first pick of the second round off-ball linebacker. This is not a bad defense. They can. It's not going to beat Lamar, I don't think, but there is a pathway. And it's a divisional game.
All right, so you're taking the Browns?
I'm not taking the Browns. I'm saying there is a greater than 0% chance. If the Browns,
0%. Okay.
What if the Ravens win, I get 1 point added to my score, and if the Browns win, you get 100 points added to your score. Are you taking the bet?
Sure.
I think we can't do this because that ruins our show, right? If the Browns win, then our show is for the rest of we would just have to go for clean slate and have me be the reigning champion.
Yeah, that's probably fair. So yeah, we'll stick it with what it is. But look, I did say it on Sunday. I'll say it again. I know the Ravens defense didn't play great in week 1, but I expect a bit of a bounce back. I did like the rookies for Browns offense in week 1. Harold Fannin looks like he has some skill, and the Dylan Sampson kid as well. So let's see how they look in week 2 against a team that should be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I think the Ravens probably cover. Just saying, there's always any given Sunday, Kyle. As John Gruden famously once said, anything can happen on any given Sunday, especially when it's Monday.
This would be one of the biggest upsets of all
time. No. The Ravens lost to the Raiders in week 2 last year.
This Browns team is still worse than the Raiders last year.
I disagree. I think this Browns team beats the Raiders last year.
I don't know about that one.
That Raiders had the Gardner Minshew Raiders had a bad defense and a bad offense. The Browns had a bad offense and a good
Didn't
defense.
they win like 6 or 7 games?
I don't think it was that much. Was it? What did the Raiders do last year? And who said the Browns aren't going to win 6 or 7 this year? I'm looking it up.
I guess nothing's impossible.
They won 4 games. They almost beat the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Famously almost beat the Chiefs.
Yes. But no, the Raiders were not good last year. I think the Browns are like a normal bad team. Like I think they're going to compete for the worst overall pick because their offense has such little talent. But like I don't think this is. I think there are several teams worse than at least a couple teams worse than the Browns this year.
Who are the teams you put worse than the Browns right now?
Okay, I think that the Panthers are easily worse than the Browns. I think I would pick the Browns. I think I would pick the Browns over the Dolphins right now after week 1.
Yeah, I guess based on performance, I think there's too much. I think there's more talent in the Dolphins still, but we'll see.
Yeah, Browns over Patriots.
How dare you?
Okay, no, I don't know. I don't think that. What would that line be? Patriots +3 or -3? I mean.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. This is an NFL football team with NFL players.
That is true. All right, we'll give it a shot. We'll see. Greater than 0% chance.
You know what? I'm switching my pick. Let's go Cleveland. No, I can't do that. But they lost to the Bengals because their kicker decided that he forgot how to play football.
Kickers are part of the team, man.
I know. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying they deserve to win. I'm just saying like that happened. That was you had Bengals as the playoff team, and that was a 1-point game.
It's week 1 Bengals, man. That's the worst team in football every year. Week 1 Bengals are the worst team in NFL history. And they lost to them.
Okay, well, let's go Cleveland Browns. Let's see if they could. I did not expect that to be the team I was pounding the table on being better than people think they are.
Yeah, that is a bold one for sure.
I'm just saying they'll win like 3 or 4 games this year. They'll win 4 games.
4 games. We'll see. All right.
We'll say it's the North, AFC North. So I'll say 3 games.
We spend a lot of time talking about the Browns here.
Too much. There's Browns podcasts that didn't spend that much talking about the Browns this week. Kyle, let me know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gron. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio-only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline Podcast. It should be available there. We will be back midnight Eastern to cover all of the Week 2 games, so be on the lookout for all of that. Yeah, and that's it. Kyle, did the Red Sox win?
No, they lost in the 9th.
Oh, no. Were they up? Did Chapman blow it?
No, they tied it at 4 in the top of the 9th and then blew it in the bottom half. So
okay, well, condolences, Kyle. I made fun of your Patriots on a tough day.
Listen, we'll be fine.
Yeah, you will be. Again, thank you, everybody. No Jaden Daniels this week. No Jaden Daniels video this week. Unfortunately, had to make some cuts somewhere. I'll make one tomorrow though. The turnaround for Thursday games is difficult. So just responding to a comment in the chat. But yeah, that is our show. Again, thank you to everybody for watching or listening. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.